For our fourth topic in personal finance for this week, we have the economic concepts to remember in financial decision making. Decision making is a complex process because there are usually multiple choices with differing attributes. Every financial decision involves giving up something in order to obtain something else. There are two economic concepts that are helpful in financial decision making. One is the marginal analysis. It involves analysis of the changes in important variables, and it also compares the additional benefits derived from an activity and the extra costs incurred by that same activity. For example, when choosing between a public versus that of a private university, you will have to find out what are the relevant costs. The public university costs $15,000 per year, whereas the private university costs $40,000 per year. What benefits does the private university provide that will compensate for paying that additional $25,000? And that difference is simply derived from subtracting $15,000 from that of the $40,000. The second one has to do with opportunity costs. These are the benefits that are given up when one alternative is chosen over the other. It is also the value of the next highest valued alternative use of that resource. For example, when you want to put money in a savings account rather than investing in the stock market, there could be an opportunity cost in terms of the higher return that could have potentially been earned, and that is by investing in the stock market. Decision models that are helpful in financial decision making. A decision model is an intellectual template for perceiving, organizing, and managing the logic behind a decision. And there are three types of decision making models. These are rational, administrative, and retrospective. And a few of these decision models are illustrated here to help you arrive at your own decisions. We will be using the Koguru's Chaparral book known as the Decision Book, wherein they illustrated 50 models for strategic thinking based on their new and updated edition of 2017. The yes-no rule. It tells us how to make a decision quickly. It's a good way to quickly reach a decision through the use of the yes-no rule. It comes into its own when you have to weigh up risks but have little time. Take the example of somebody who goes to the doctor feeling ill. The doctor makes a diagnosis based on a process of elimination. Does he have a fever? Is his blood pressure too low? Etc. The yes-no rule is based on clear parameters, something that can be beneficial not only in medicine but also in management, private life, or even politics. Actually, the oldest or shortest words of yes and no are those that require the most thought. So these have been used by many people and were able to arrive at a quick decision. The consequences model. Why is it important to make decisions promptly? We are often forced to make decisions based on limited or ambiguous information. At the beginning of a project, for example, when the finer details have not yet to be clarified, we need to be whole in our decision making, particularly because these early decisions have most far-reaching consequences. Towards the end of a project, we know more and have fewer doubts, but by then there is no longer anything fundamental to decide. So the most important question then is, how can we bridge that chasm between doubt and decision? But beware, we are often delaying decisions because we have doubts. But not making a decision is a decision in itself. And if you delay a resolution, it is often an unconscious decision, one that you do not communicate. This leads to uncertainty in a team if you're working with one. And so if you want to make a decision later, be sure to communicate this clearly. Therefore, the consequences model encourages us to be courageous and make decisions based on minimal information. And it also shows us the extent to which the consequences of your decision relates to the extent of your knowledge. The stop rule. This tells us when we should rethink a decision. In the Simple Book of Kathleen Essenhart and Donald Zoll, they argued that in certain situations, simple rules are more effective than complex ones because they shorten the amount of time needed to process information. And that's one of the most time-consuming processes of all. For example, how do I know when I should revise a decision? Give yourself this one stop rule. The stop rule is a hard and fast, almost universally applicable alternative to the often torturous process of weighing up a situation. And the beauty of the stop rules like this is that they are unconditional, they prevent headaches, and can even save lives. Take the case of the mountaineers who use the stop rules to ensure their safe return. For example, they get to think of it this way. If we don't reach the summit by 2 p.m., we turn around. And it has happened that when such stop rule was broken on Mount Everest in 1996, 8 people had died. Therefore, the two variations of the stop rule, which is a non-negotiable limit, and that was in the example given that if we don't reach the summit by 2 p.m., we turn around, versus that of the flexible limit. And it says here that if my heart rate is still below 150 by 2 p.m., then I will keep climbing until 3 p.m. So this is how you apply the stop rule. So I hope that with the economic concepts discussed, marginal and opportunity cost, as well as that of the decision models, this will help you decide better for your financial decision making.